It's what we're seeing today. I mean, you turn on the news, it's what you see. People, you got to understand what we're seeing. God already said we was going to see. This is the part you're really going to love. With what you're seeing, you know that there's, I think it's 15 major cities that's cutting their police force. De Blasio is fixing to cut New York City by $1 billion. San Francisco's cutting theirs, Nashville's cutting theirs. They want to go to a police, it's going to be called public safety awareness. No cops on the street. Violent crime is dropping. We don't need cops anymore. The communities will govern themselves with these mall cops on the scene. I wish I was making this trash up. And people are buying into it. People last weekend in Shreveport, 10 on Friday, Saturday night, 10 were killed in drive-by shootings in Shreveport. But violent crime is dropping. What rock are you under? But they're selling it, and they're peddling it. And people are signing into it. And people are agreeing with it. You know what? We're getting so good in America, we don't need cops anymore. They've lost their mind. They've literally lost their mind. I'm telling you, I don't know where they're getting this thinking from. But you'll find a lot of the ideas in Matthew 24 that we're seeing today. And that's just one of them. See, man believes they can create this grand utopia that everybody will have everything perfect and good. It's never happened before, and it's not going to happen until Jesus comes back. A lot of countries around the world have tried this, and all of them have been a disaster. But for some reason, we don't learn from people's mistakes. We must make our own. I had an older brother that wasn't very bright. He'd always get in trouble. My father always knew when he got in trouble. That was not the bright part. I watched the way my older brother got in trouble and what happened to him. I did just as many things as he did. I just made sure nobody was around to tell. I learned from my brother not paying attention. He had a canary yellow Mustang, the only one in the 4-state area, and tried to do stupid. The cops didn't have to worry about, no, they didn't have to chase him. They just went, knocked on the door, and handed him the ticket. It's the only one in 4 states. Somebody said you were there. No, I wasn't there. Canary yellow Mustang, that's what they described it. We looked, it's the only one in 4 states. If you're going to be stupid, get a black car. Don't get a canary yellow Mustang. I learned though. I'm not going to do that. So people I'm getting at is we ought to learn from the mistakes of others, but rather we don't. You tell a child not to do it because you did it and it didn't work out for you, and then they throw it up in your face. Well, you did it. Yeah, and you see how well it worked out. And I can do it since you did it. And you see him with a wheelchair with a broke back and a broke leg down the hallway. It worked out the same for me, son. Aren't you happy now? But we don't learn from people's mistakes. We must go and make our own. Matthew 24, look at verse number 1. And Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to shew him the building of the temple, this glorious temple in all of its beauty. And Jesus said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And he sat down upon the Mount of Olives. The disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in divers places. All these beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall men be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that endureth to the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. Then shall the end come. I just want to deliver a thought of these verses. The beginning of sorrows, and you see that in verse number 8. And then he goes through another list in verse number 9 through verse number 14. But notice when you start looking at this, the beginning of sorrows. 10 years ago, you turned on the TV and watched the news, and what you thought was bad is nothing. We have graduated in wickedness. We have legislated sin. We have legalized it. I get around people all the time, they want to talk about legalizing drugs. I always ask them one simple question. All I want is one answer. You answer me the question and I'll debate it. Just answer me one question. All drugs were legal before 1910. Documented fact. 1910, drugs became illegal. Cocaine had to come out of Coke. Man, could you imagine an energy drink? You think what a Monster could do? You drink a Coca-Cola with cocaine in it, buddy. It had to put a little pep in your step. You go down the list. Cough syrup had cocaine in it. I mean, they used cocaine like we use sugar. Marijuana, opium. And all of it came to a screeching halt in 1910. And the reason being was because the death rate and difficulties due to drug addiction way outweighed any benefit it was to man. I asked them, tell me why is that important? Because if you don't know why they outlawed it, you'd be dumb enough to want to legalize it. Then they don't want to talk to me no more. I just ask one question. There's no sense in me debating if you don't know why it was ever made illegal. Now we want to bring it back. Well, preacher, marijuana is good for you. Name me one good thing marijuana does. And I can name you a whole bunch of bad things that it does. We live in a world that think we can fix it. And what we're doing is we're destroying it. Every day we turn on the news, it's worse than the day before. Have you seen the list of law enforcement that have been injured and killed in these riots? I would have loved to seen them try that when some of the former presidents was in the White House. Trump is showing a lot of restraint that former presidents didn't. Nixon showed no restraint going into Kansas State, and he took care of business. And they didn't have riots for a long time on college campuses because of that. But we want to be the complete pacifists. If we pacify them, they're not going to go away, people. They're in this book right here, in this chapter. They're not going away. Notice, we're not in the tribulation. I want to get rid of that real quick. A lot of people believe, well, we're in the tribulation period. No, this is just the beginning of sorrows. The tribulation period, people, all hell is going to break loose on earth. I'm telling you, like you've never seen. The man of sin is going to be revealed, the Antichrist. The Antichrist not being revealed yet, and he's not going to be revealed till the Holy Spirit's called away. And guess what? It's not going to happen till the church is gone, and that's going to happen before the man of sin is revealed at the beginning of the tribulation period. So don't let anybody have misconceptions. Well, we're in the tribulation period. No, we're not. We're in the beginning of sorrows. Just the beginning of sorrows. Now the apostles come in verse 3, and they ask Jesus Christ 3 simple questions. When shall these things be? The destruction of the temple, the sign of you coming, and the end of the world. Now, the temple was destroyed in 70 A.D. Titus the great general of Rome, comes down and puts a whooping on Israel. And when he got through, there was no brick stuck together. Do you know why they poured out their wrath on Israel, on Jerusalem? Because since 66 A.D. to 70 A.D., they rioted, obstructed, and did everything they could to stop Rome. Rome's a world power. They're only going to take insults so long. When it reached the point their insults was over with, they went and took care of business. I'm not saying they were right. I'm just saying that's what happened. They went in and destroyed Jerusalem. Leveled it. That glorious temple they took so much pride in is completely destroyed.